This is 142.2, The Kingdom.
And once again, the Lombardi Trophy has a red and gold reflection. You can doubt the Chiefs. You can dislike the Chiefs. You can disrespect the Chiefs. You're gonna have to deal with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of 142.2 The Kingdom. I am your host, Dominic. We got Trizzy, we got Richard, and hopefully we got Corey and possibly DG as the night goes on. You are listening to us live via X or YouTube at youtube.com/142_2 The Kingdom. We got a lot of stuff to go over today. The final 53-man roster has been set. The final preseason game went as well as we could have hoped. But the main news of today, as reported by multiple sources, is that it was proposed that the NFL wanted to get done a 6-game suspension for Rashee Rice to start the beginning of the season, and then Rashee Rice accepted it. So he will be out for the first 6 games of the season, including the Chargers, the Eagles, the Giants, the Ravens, the Jaguars, and the Lions, and he will be returning Week 7 against the Las Vegas Raiders. What are our initial thoughts on the Rashee Rice suspension? Is it a good thing? Are you glad it happened earlier? Do you wish it happened after the September 30th kind of thing? What are we thinking?
I think this was the best case scenario in terms of how everything wound up going down. I don't think it was ever going to get to a hearing because I don't think the Chiefs wanted that from a roster construction standpoint. I don't think they wanted it from just a season scheme standpoint. I think they wanted to do whatever they could to try and get this done before the season so they could get out of the way and he's ready and he's going and he's full steam ahead toward the playoffs with everybody else. There's always the risk that he winds up getting 6 games anyway, and then he's out through the bye week instead of back and playing games before the bye week and not having to worry about it. There's a chance he gets suspended the rest of the season because it was reported that they were initially looking at something like 10 games. I think this was partially the Players Association trying to help Rashee Rice, and it was also, I think, partially the league trying to make sure that he doesn't play the start of the season because I don't think they wanted him to play during the start of the season either. And they were worried that he was only going to get like 4 games or maybe even less than that. And I think they wanted some sort of resolution before an arbiter got involved. So they threw 6 games at him, hoping that he would accept, and he did. So ultimately, I think it's a good thing. He only misses 1 divisional game, so it's not the end of the world. They have the depth to work with him, not on the team. So I think all in all, it winds up working out, even if it's a little bit more than I would have liked.
What are your thoughts, Trizzy?
Anytime you got a guy like Rashee Rice, obviously he's grown to be one of our good players here in Chiefs Kingdom. Obviously, it sucks that he's not going to be able to go, but my thing about missing a guy like that is just how elite he is in zone coverage and how much zone coverage we're going to face. It's not going to be a lot of chances where we leave guys like Xavier Worthy, guys like Hollywood Brown one-on-one on islands. And just kind of picking off from, where he left off from, he really hasn't got that chance. We've seen what he did towards the end of his rookie year, got to win the Super Bowl. And then, the next year he gets hurt and he's not able to show us that full potential. So we still haven't really got to see everything that Ford can do. But I just initially, just wanted him to get it over with because it's a guy that we're going to need on the back end. And I guess the best thing, I guess you could say the best kept secret is that we play a team like Baltimore. He'll be back for the Buffalo game, but if we have to see a team like a Baltimore, or we have to see another team that we play during those first 6 games, it'll give us some type of unfamiliarity going into the playoffs against maybe a Baltimore Ravens or a Chargers team, that second game. So depending on where the standings are at that time. But yeah, it sucks. I thought it was gonna be 4 games, maybe a little less, but the league decided to just handle that. They just decided to hand it out now. I think, they got a lot of backlash when they heard that it was a potentially chance that he might be able to play against the first 4 games of the season, which we open up in Brazil against the Chargers. Then we go week 2 against the Eagles, and week 3 against the Giants. Then we got the Ravens, and my thing is, um, it's not necessarily all on Rashee Rice, because I do think that the offensive line does plays a part in that per se, but it does suck when you got a guy like that who's a lead in zone coverage, finds those windows, sits in those windows, able to move the change, can get yards after catch, just really like fluid in his route running, fluid after the catch. Just a guy that we're gonna miss obviously for these 6 games. But this is a team that also made it to the Super Bowl without Rashee Rice and without a left tackle. So I think we'll be all right on the back end. I think we didn't did enough in our receiver room to kind of make up for, by committee, guys come in and make some plays. So it sucks, but I think this team can overcome not having him for 6 games.
Yeah, I'm about to pull up the schedule just to make it easier for everyone to digest. But I mean, I honestly think this was the best case scenario. Obviously, the amount of games was something that was kind of uh I disagreed on, especially with the Jordan Addison suspension that was added before this was even accepted. I know he got 3 games, but he's a repeat offender, whereas Rashee, yes, uh, what he did and how he left the scene and everything, it was very irresponsible. And I mean, I think 6 is a little much, but at the same time, it's this kind of situation is so unique to really tack on how many games a wide receiver gets for something like this. So I think this was the best case scenario. I know people had the idea of, well, let's have those first 4 games of the season and see what that's like. But I would have rather get it over with, then Rashee gets acclimated to the offense and has more time to gel as the season ends, and they're really getting on and getting hot at the very end of the season, rather than, you could start hot like he did last year, and then he's off for at least 6 games, and then he has to come back. So I think this is the best case scenario, in my opinion. But those first 6 games, like I said, but after that, those next 6 games are pretty tough too. Because you got after that, you got at least 2 division opponents in the Raiders and the Broncos. You also got Washington. You have the Buffalo game in Buffalo. And Indianapolis is kind of in that like New York Giants or Jacksonville kind of territory where it's like, who knows? So even though the first 6 weeks seems like a lot, this next 6 weeks isn't as easy as many people think. So I think it, I think you get what you get. And I'm pretty happy with just him not starting later and just getting it over with, personally.
Yeah, I think the depth of the wide receiver room helps in this regard. Uh, yeah, yes, you'd rather have him, especially since there's 3 big early games that we get. Uh, Chargers right away, Philly, Baltimore 4. If you count Detroit, I think Detroit will be a very interesting game, but that one's at home. So, it's not the most ideal situation. You wish you'd have him anyway, but I think they've prepared themselves as best they could for this scenario. You've brought in a receiving tight end. You drafted Jalen Royals. You've stockpiled enough weapons on offense that the scheme still can function without him. For however long he was going to be suspended for. And I think they avoided the worst case scenario where he plays for 4 games and then you don't have him for a potentially long period of time. So at the end of the day, not everybody's going to agree on the length. I think it was fair just because of the severity of what did occur. Yes, Addison is a repeat offender, but unfortunately, in his case, and fortunately for him, nothing came of it. Nothing happened in his situation. But it is what it is. So 6 games, they'll figure it out without him, and I think that this is best case scenario at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I just want to say, I'm so glad that nobody was seriously injured. None of the families, had really critical injuries or Rashee Rice himself. So everybody was able to walk away and go back home. That's what's really important at the end of the day. And shout out to the people, involved, and I just, hope their mental is doing okay. I hope they're mentally doing well. And I'm sure Rashee Rice, feels, bad about, what happened, and he's glad to help out, and he's been paying his fees and making sure those families are taken care of. So that's the most important thing. Football comes after that. When he get back on the field, he'll be locked in, and he's learned a lesson. He's a younger guy. Mistakes happen. It's not like he's just been out here causing trouble. He's a good player. He's a good kid. Comes from a good family. So yeah, everything worked out, and he decided to just go ahead and take it on the chin like a champ. You do something, you take the consequence, and you move on. So shout out to Rashee Rice for just getting it over with. You're not trying to fight it, not trying to make it a big deal. He did wrong. He got the consequence. Take it on the chin. Come back, and ready to contribute to this offense at a high level.
100%, 100%. Now, what else happened over the weekend was the final preseason game at home against the Chicago Bears on Friday, and man, the offense showed up. And there was a lot of speculation about our passing game being explosive once again. I think those questions were pretty much answered within those first 3 drives that Mahomes played in. Obviously, I'll bring up some of the tape, but Trizzy, what were your biggest takeaways from the Chiefs Bears game?
Um, I would just say a flowing offense from Andy Reid. That's what we're used to. Mixing it up with the run, getting some zone scheme going on, scheming Travis Kelsey up with a sail route. We got a back shoulder to Rashid. We've seen some exciting things from Rashad Smith, just attacking every part of the field. I think is something that we were missing. And then here, I think this is a run right here on the backside with watch this block from Josh Simmons. Him getting off the ball that quick. Okay, yeah, here goes that sail play where, Patrick Mahomes buying time, doing what he doing. And, just putting money, stuff on the money, being able to come back and, actually do things that help our team. So, I really like what I've seen from the offense. There we go right there. Something that we got to come up with in the season, but that's a hell of a scheme right there from Brashad Smith. You try to come back. Pacheco's motioning in, and you're getting clear. I think this might be the Juju play. Yeah, buy
Yeah,
a
this
little
is a
time.
Juju play.
Yeah, come back, and then Pat just doing what he doing. Juju finding open space. Just seeing that offense kind of get into that rhythm, where the pocket's flushed out and Pat's coming. And here's another one, Pat buying a little time and, trying to get going. Threw that away actually. But I mean, I just seen Pat more on time, more on rhythm. I love what I've seen from Andy Reid. I know he's not showing too much in the preseason, but just to have that right there. Here goes the Texas route from Brashad, almost broke that tackle. It wasn't for to been that tackle, but I love what I've seen from the offense overall. Just getting guys involved here again. Rashee Rice on the receiver screen, doing what he does well. Can see Jalen Royals in that role as well. Just the guys being able to attack multiple parts of the field in many different ways It's something that I thought our offense was missing last year, and obviously we'll miss Rashee Rice in the beginning of the year with those first 6 games. Here's a shot to Taekwon.
Youth.
And I think he's going to be a guy, especially with Rashee Rice, getting that suspension. He could be a guy that could open up the top off that defense and being able to create some separation for guys like Kelsey, guys like Worthy. Here's another play right here, just scheming it up, being able to come back and just get guys involved. From Worthy to Pacheco to Brashad to Kareem, just guys getting involved is what I love to see from the team. So I'm glad that we got that rhythm going and working, and I just can't wait to see what it looks like, in Brazil against the Chargers. That
Kareem,
should
you
have
got
been
to catch that.
that should have been
Sorry.
a touchdown
That's-
pass right there. But yeah, man, Pat is so good, man. He is so good off script. It's ridiculous. It almost looks like they're doing that on purpose. But here's that sale right scheme, putting the ball right on the money, letting Travis Kelsey go up and get it. Classic Travis Kelsey to Mahomes. I don't think there's a better combination in the league. As far as tight end and receiver go, tight end and quarterback goes, and we just get to see the guys moving around and making plays, and that's what the Andy Reid offense is all about, baby.
The
Yeah.
biggest thing for me is the O-line communication looks like it's so much better than it was the previous couple of games. You've got guys looking at each other. You've got guys communicating with Pat. You've got everybody's on the same page. Everybody looks like they know what their assignment is, who they need to block. Twist games weren't an issue. Everybody, bull rush, speed rush, they were able to handle pretty much everything that came their way. Just the communication looked like it was on point. Pat can write a book back there. He's directing traffic. He's got not a care in the world back there in the pocket. That's exactly what you're looking for as a quarterback. He's able to just survey the field, find where the open guy is, and get him the football. And this was against a majority starting defensive front that will be playing every Sunday. So that was something that, quite frankly, we needed to see. It's a great pickup on the stunt game there. Pat's able to get out of the pocket. The communication was on point from the starters, and that's exactly what you wanted to see, especially from the left side of the line.
Yeah, so I think it kind of set a tone for the rest of the season. Also was a little hint to the league that's like, hey, this ain't the same offense that's been happening the past couple of years. I think what was kind of encouraging is that this wasn't a huge Xavier Worthy kind of preseason game or a big Rashee Rice game. Obviously, like, you got to see more of Brashard Smith and that big play from Taekwon Thornton, but I felt like it just showed the type of weapons that this team has and the way that Mahomes is just able to spread the ball around. I know that's kind of what he's been doing the past 3 years, but with this type of talented wide receiver core, you got Juju, Taekwon Thornton, and we're going to talk about more of the 53-man roster in a little bit, but just seeing the plethora of weapons that Mahomes has now and just being able to have a Swiss Army knife of a quarterback, a tight end, and just a mind like Andy Reid, just these types of plays and execution. It's just, I don't think the league is ready again for this type. And like right there.
Okay. Yeah. Can we wind that one back? I just have to talk about both Trey Smith and Jawan Taylor here on this play. Like please tell me this is the play, because this is just great from both of them. Jawan Taylor's got his man handled, but Trey Smith doesn't have anybody to block. So he's going to go help out. He's going to go help out the closest guy to him. And then he goes back for more on a second guy. And I'm sorry, I just love that. That's exactly what you want to see from your offensive line, is giving your quarterback that much time and taking out anybody who's close enough to give chase.
You literally murdered 2 people. Like, murdered them.
I think Brian Baldinger put it succinctly. He got his first helping and then went back and tried to steal somebody else's. Like that is exactly what I want to see out of my offensive linemen on every single play.
So seeing the cohesion of just the play calling, Mahomes at his best, and then the offensive line doing what we've been yearning for a while, I feel like it's gonna be electric.
Yeah.
I know people are saying where's the light show and all that stuff, but I think you're about to see it. And even with Rashee being out, with a guy like Tyquan Thornton who is very underrated and hasn't really had the chance to really showcase all of his abilities as a wide receiver, I'm really excited to see what we're gonna see from this offense. I know Jalen Royals is looking like he might not be able to play the first week against the Chargers, according to Nate Taylor. But I mean, this wide receiver room is so deep that I'm not as worried as I probably would have been last year if Rashee got suspended immediately.
Yeah. I think we'll see what happens the rest of this week and then going into next week. I still think he's got a chance if he progresses throughout the rest of this week to play. We'll ultimately see what happens there. But I think even if he doesn't, I think they can beat the Chargers without him. But it certainly would help if he's there. We'll have to see. Same with Omar Norman Lott, who they say is further along than he is, so he's more than likely going to be on track to play. But you already see conflicting reports. Matt Derrick is like, barring a setback, he's going to be ready to start the season. So some people are more optimistic than others. You'll just have to play that one by ear. But I think overall, this team is in a good spot to be as healthy as possible going into week one. And there were no major injuries from the Chicago game to report. So that was the biggest thing. This team's going to be ready to do exactly this, hopefully, starting week one. And if we start seeing this again, that's exactly what this scheme wants to do. Get the deep shots, open up the middle of the field, and basically you pick your poison on every single play. And he had multiple people open on this play as well. Xavier Worthy was open, Rashee Rice was open, and the running back in the flat was open. Like he had four options, and he went for the deep shot. Xavier Worthy is probably also at the bottom of the screen. It's also streaking down like 5 yards away from his guy. Probably would have had a touchdown too if he chose that option. So if the scheme works like this consistently all year, it's going to be a long day at the office for defenses.
Absolutely.
And the thing is like that wasn't the only deep pass that night. I'm about to pull up the other one real quick, and it was basically the same play. It's
basically the same play, and it's with the third string quarterback too. This is how you know the scheme was on point, pretty much all night. Is when your third string quarterback is launching 50-yard passes like this, and the dude is wide open. I mean that is exactly what you want to see from your scheme going into the season. Is it doesn't matter who's in there, doesn't matter what quarterback is throwing the ball, doesn't matter what receivers are in the game. He also had at least two options wide open on that play. So that is exactly what you want to see from your guys. And Pat loves it because he almost thought that one was to the house. Also, shout out to Jalen Moore on this play. He blocked that in perfectly to make sure there was no backside pressure. So this is exactly what Andy Reid wants to see, is the scheme is working no matter what personnel is in the game.
I agree.
Yeah, and even though it was technically a loss, I just think what we saw from the offense is just really encouraging. And, I'm not terribly worried about the Chargers in Brazil. I think it's going to be an interesting environment for sure. And we'll see what happens. I definitely have the Chiefs even without Rashee Rice, because I know Xavier Worthy is going to have a big play because he seems to do that against the Chargers anyway. But
Biggest thing I worry about in Brazil is health. Health is going to be the biggest thing in on soccer pitch fields in another country. That's always the biggest concern with anybody who has to play an overseas game is, do you come back healthy, and how does it affect everybody going forward in the weeks to come? So they can avoid that. I wouldn't. I would rather not have a loss, but even if it doesn't affect them moving forward, I can consider that. I can consider that a win in and of itself. So
100%. Now let's go over the 53-man roster. It was set last night. A lot of surprises in personnel. Obviously, Mahomes and Gardner Minshew were definitely going to be the quarterbacks for the team. But the interestingly, before the Rashee Rice news was that we went with 8 wide receivers, including Tyquan Thornton, Nico Remigio, and Jason Brownlee, which was definitely a surprise. Then another surprise, and shout out to him, but shout out to him, Cooper McDonald, being a linebacker on this team, though Jack Cochran is very interesting. But any surprises, any shocks from you guys about the 53-man roster? I know, Rich, you were really, really, really pushing for Elijah Badger, but I don't think he made it.
yeah, there were a couple of guys that kind of surprised me initially, but once waivers and practice squad kind of went underway today, it started making a little bit more sense. Plus, we didn't have confirmation on the Rashee Rice situation yet. But 8 wide receivers tells me that they probably expected this was going to happen, which it did. So Jason Brownlee making the roster, great, good for him. He's been around the organization for a little over 2 years now, so he gets a chance to finally show what he can do now that he's healthy. Another great UDFA story in Cooper McDonald making a roster out of camp. He was a late signing to camp around OTAs, so he didn't even have rookie mini camp or the start of OTAs. So he was a later signing that obviously made a good enough impression on the team to make the initial 53. It's unfortunate Brandon George had to go on IR. His season is over, so that's unfortunate. But it looked like he was going to make the roster based on how he was doing in camp. We'll still see on Jake Brenningstool. I think he had a very good chance to be tight end 3 or even tight end 4 if he didn't get hurt during camp. But Robert Tonyan not being on the roster surprised me at first, but he's been brought back on the practice squad and will probably be on the 53-man roster now that Rashee's suspension is official and he doesn't count against the 53-man roster since he can't practice or be in the facility until after week 3. So him being on the roster, so that was a little surprising at first, but now that's pretty much been rectified after waivers and everything have gone through. Otherwise, not a whole lot else has kind of surprised me outside of they chose to stick with the experience and positional versatility of Wanye Morris over the raw upside of Issa Pole, who got claimed on waivers today by the Jets. So hope the best for him, because I think he does have a good chance to compete for a job. I think, but they decided to go with experience over upside, and I can't fault them for that at the end of the day, because he can play at least 3 positions. We don't know if Issa Pole would have been able to beat anybody out at 1. So I can't fault the thought process there.
What about you, Trizzy? What are you thinking about the 53-man roster, man?
Yeah, I mean, some of the similar thoughts. It is surprising at first when I've seen the 8 receivers, but we kind of talked about that a little bit last night. And if they're keeping 8 guys, and that must mean that either Rashee Rice news is coming a little quicker than we thought, or they were keeping guys, just because they wanted to make sure that we didn't lose any juice going into the season or potential injury. So the fact that they got ahead of the game with that was great. Other than that, no surprises for me. I didn't think that. I mean, I'm not gonna say I'm not a huge Josh Williams fan, but I don't think that I think we have more upside with Noah Williams, being a guy that's getting those reps over him. I think he's a lot more physical. He fixed the Dave Merritt kind of spag scheme a little bit more, if you ask me, with his size, long arms, physical. We seen that from corners like Mooney, Sneed, and now obviously McDuffie isn't like that, but I think Noah Williams is a guy that's gonna be kind of similar with his story as far as his body type and what he's able to do. As long as he's able to pick up Spag's scheme, I can see him playing a little bit more towards the back end. So I was surprised about Josh, the Brownlee kid. I was surprised about that, him being on official 53. I thought he had a chance to make the practice squad, but obviously the Chiefs seen more in him, and deservingly so. He made some plays there. I was a little shocked that they chose um, a Mitchell over Esau Poole, but I mean, like you guys were kind of alluding to the fact that he's not as versatile as some of the other guys, so that could be a reason why. Um, but other than that, there are no real surprises here. Shout out to Cooper McDonald, being an undrafted guy. His story was amazing. I know someone posted that yesterday, so if you didn't have a chance to kind of look at that in Chiefs Kingdom, I would encourage you guys to look that up. And I just want to say shout out to everybody that's tuned in tonight to the not to the Kingdom Cast, to 142.2 the Kingdom. And shout out to Kingdom Cast, shout out to the Kingdom Queens. Shout out DG and Trey, they got their things going on. Make sure y'all tap in with everybody, man. It's always great having you guys on board with us, tapping in, listening to us. We really, really, really appreciate you guys as well. So just want to give a big shout out to everybody that's listening, watching it, and if you got any questions, go ahead and comment down below. We'd be more than happy to answer them.
100%, 100%. I think uh it was kind of surprising with the news being that they were really trying to get another running back. And the debate was between whether or not Carson Steele or Elijah Mitchell were going to be we're not going to make the roster if they were able to trade for a running back. I know there was a lot of hype for Brees Hall and Rashad White and
Oh, we signed
uh
Clyde Edwards-Helaire signed to the practice squad
to the
today.
practice squad. Yes, sir.
Shout out to CEH, baby. Clyde the Glide. What up, baby? Welcome back, baby.
100%. But I think other than that, now that we know why they went with 8, nothing's
What
kind
up,
of a
Caleb? What up,
surprise
Caleb?
here. But otherwise, it's kind of same old with this team. I'm really excited to see the wide receiver depth since they had to, you know, deal with it. The Rashee Rice suspension. I'm also excited to see how Kelsey fits into the offense once again.
Yeah, you
I
see the
know he's going to
shirt.
get
You see
double,
the
triple
shirt. Shout
teamed.
out Big Yeti. He got married. You know what I mean? He got engaged to Taylor Swift. You see the shirt on the back, baby.
Yeah, that was the other
Proud son.
news that
That's
came
why I
Yeah.
had to
that
wear
came
my
in.
We
A7.
should have opened with that, Rich.
Shout out to Trav
Shout
for
out to the
for
Swifties,
finally
baby.
getting hitched. It's about time. We've come a long way from him getting upset at refs in the middle of games. So
Shout out to all the Swifties, man. We appreciate you guys tapping in. We know you guys join in and ask questions and type in. Shout out Big 87, man. I just want to talk about Big Yeti real quick, man. A lot of people are telling me he's not the best tight end in the league and all this, and other guys have upside and all of this. Get ready for Big Yeti, baby. I'm telling you now. No Rashee Rice. We need a guy to step up over the middle. You can't play over the top all the time with Zay and Hollywood and Taekwon and guys like that coming in. Brownlee might be even getting there and get some plays in. So I think Travis Kelsey, man, is gonna have one of those all-time years, man. I think he's gonna really be down and locked in, man. It's a lot of talk, a lot of this and a lot of that. But I just know that this guy is second behind a guy named Jerry freaking Rice. And to be disrespectful, I mean, Brock Bowers, I ain't gonna lie, that kid is special. But outside of that, like, I'm not hearing none of that George Kittle, Sam Laporta mess. I'm not hearing that. You know, this is the guy that transcended the tight end position. I don't want to hear anything else about anybody else. And I'm gonna tell you this: Travis Kelsey over 1,000. Book it. I'm done.
It wouldn't shock me at this point. Uh, it really wouldn't. If that, especially if this is his last year, he's only signed through this year. If he wants to come back, it's more power to him. But if this is the last ride for him, it wouldn't shock me if he went over 1,000 yards again.
He's going over 1,000.
I think the only other thing, just touching on Joshua Williams a little bit. I think I understand why. Only probably he makes it because of the Nazi IR designation. He's gonna be out for the first 4 games, so that's probably why he makes it. Ultimately, I had him on as my 53rd.
He's weak
going into cut down day, so they chose not to pick up anybody on waivers. They haven't made any decisions as of yet on any free agents that are out there for the most part. So really, it's just now he's got one more chance to prove it. This is his last year on his contract. So if we roll into week 1 and he's still on the roster, then this is basically his last chance to prove that he still belongs here beyond this year. So,
listen, Rich, I don't like the kid, man. I mean, he's great with the media and he does the mic thing, but I mean, I've seen him get mossed by a third stringer.
I get it. I get it, man. I do. Like, it's not pretty. To be honest, he is the smallest 6'3" corner I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, man.
He plays like he's Travarius Ward size, like, and that just can't happen if you're 6'3", almost 200 pounds.
Yeah,
and
no, I don't want to see it.
He doesn't use his hands. He gets too many boneheaded penalties. I mean, that's why he's in the doghouse. That's why he's fallen out of favor and pretty much relegated to special teams most of the time. Is he can't be trusted to consistently cover without committing penalties. And he was a little bit better at it this preseason, but he still has issues with coverage. And tackling. And those are 2 things, zone coverage and tackling, that you have to be able to show at least some proficiency at in Spag's system. And if you don't, you're not going to see the field that much unless they absolutely have to. So hopefully he figures something out. Otherwise, there are plenty of options on the practice squad, and there are guys out there that can come take your job at any moment. So we will see what happens on that front.
Yeah, Joshua Williams, great with social media, not the best corner. That's all really I can say.
Doesn't translate
him.
to the field, unfortunately. At least not yet.
But if he wants a side gig as a social media manager after his contract's up, we got him.
Yeah.
But
hook him up.
That's definitely messed up. But other big news that happened this week that led to the 53-man roster, our GOAT, the greatest wide receiver 6 in Chiefs history, Sky Moore, unfortunately, was traded to the San Francisco 49ers for 2027 pick swaps. So we swapped our 7th round pick with their 6th round pick. Sky Moore ended up playing, having a decently disappointing career with the Kansas City Chiefs, unfortunately. Had some good moments, like the touchdown catch in the Super Bowl, a great punt return in the AFC Championship game prior to that. And I will always remember the decent game that he had against the Los Angeles Chargers on Sunday Night Football when Juju got hurt. And yeah, that's what I'll remember. But obviously, very disappointing as a second round pick. A lot of upside. I'm really hoping for the best for Sky Moore, especially in a Shanahan led offense. But it seems like the 49ers are now going to be the Chiefs of the very, very, very far west. Because they also signed today MVS to the 49ers. So shout out to Sky, but I hope you get better, and I hope you prove the haters wrong.
This happens when all your receivers get hurt, but hey, maybe they prove us all wrong, and that would be a bit of poetic justice if they did. So it goes. Good luck to them.
Hey man, done with him though.
And then
not our problem anymore.
And guess who just made it to the house? We got DG, baby.
Ooh.
There he is.
How's it going, DG?
Going on, folks? How we doing?
We just been talking about the Rashee news and the 53-man roster. Talked about the Bears game, and then we just talked about the greatest wide receiver 6 of all time, Sky Moore, unfortunately leaving us.
Greatest.
No, that's a lie, because we all know the greatest wide receiver 6 we've ever had was Justin Watson, who is now with the Texans. So
even more
that's why Randy Moss. So put some respect on that.
Vanilla Moss, man.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on the initial 53 DG? What did it do? Is there anything like major to you that stuck out in terms of who was there, who wasn't there?
Yeah, I think this is the first year we've seen Andy Reid and them keep 8 receivers. Obviously, there was, I think they had to kind of err with caution, but knowing that, Rashee Rice news, I think they obviously knew that. So, Jason Brownlee making the team really shocked me. But now as learning about the Rashee Rice news is not as shocking. Now kind of seeing what they want to be able to do with him and his fit. I'm trying to think of what else was really shocking. I wouldn't say Elijah Mitchell was shocking or anything, but I kind of had a feeling that they were going to try to go with 3 running backs, but then to see them kind of go with 4, a little bit surprising. But obviously need people in there that depth positions if somebody else goes down. Obviously, running back is one of those positions that anything can happen as far as an injury or anything like that. So you definitely need guys in that spot. I would say shout out to Cooper McDonald, man, for being one of the tryout guys from rookie minicamp to go from rookie minicamp to training camp and make the 53. It's not easy at all. There's a lot of guys that have been in his position before that are at home sitting on the couch now, and he's in the NFL on a 53-man roster. So shout out to him. He definitely flashed a couple times when we went up to training camp, and there was a couple players who is 59. Like, who's that? So happy for him, man, to make this team as well too. But yeah, I think the roster, I think it shapes out well. Was still kind of shocked to see Josh Williams not be a trade candidate at this point. I thought that there was probably a little bit of smoke for him to go out there on the market and for them to kind of find some compensation for him. But obviously with the Najee Johnson injury and I think a few other injuries as well in that DB room, we obviously had to kind of keep him around to cure for some of that depth. So, yeah, not too many surprises for me. Rolling into the season, man, and hopefully everybody's ready to go and ready to play. It looks like they'll be rolling with 6 receivers now with the Jalen Rose news coming out. And I don't know if you guys heard Nate Taylor talk on the radio that he's possibly headed to short-term IR. So, it kind of sucks, but we'll see what Jason Brownlee and Tyquan Thornton and those guys and fan favorite Nico Remigio can do for us, in these first couple weeks. So.
100%, 100%. Also, we'd like to ask you about the Rashee Rice news. Obviously, today it got finalized that Rashee's going to miss the first 6 games
Yeah.
of the year. Did you like how they're getting it over with rather than the proposed September 30th hearing, or are you still? Do you not like the amount of games? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I was never a fan of the arbitration meeting on September 30th. I thought if they could always come to a resolved issue before the season, then that was the best route for them to go. Obviously, uh, him accruing 10 plus games for a suspension was ridiculous approach from the NFL, in my opinion. So yeah, I was always on his side of him trying to argue against that and get that ruled down. But once I seen that, 6 games was probably the settlement. I think, if I was in his legal advisory, I would be telling him, that you probably have to take that deal. Go ahead, get it over with. Go to wherever you can go, for 6 games, for 6 weeks, stay out of trouble, train and get ready for the season. I think it helps him kind of recover as well, too, from the injury, get a little bit more ready for the season, not having to really rush into, being back ready. Obviously, he was healthy, but, but yeah, it gives you a little bit more time to kind of get yourself prepared for the stretch run. And I think it's a little bit more important for him to be there once they gotta get deeper into division play and having to go against, go to Buffalo, face the Denver Broncos in games like that. I think you would rather have him for the back stretch of this season than him being there for the first 4 games and then getting suspended in the middle of the year. If you can salvage some of those games and go 4-2 or 5-1 or 3-3, even if you end up being 3-3, you'd rather have him back for the final stretch of the season and not having anything like playoffs or anything like that be in jeopardy.
100%, 100%. So like we were saying, for the Sky Moore trade happened, obviously, but what we used for that 6th round pick, we ended up bringing back Derek Nottie from the New York Jets, basically just including a conditional 6th and the 6th round pick that we got, and then we flopped 7th round picks. So Derek Nottie is back in the defensive line to really help out probably guys like Norman Lott and the run defense, especially since how good it was last year. Thoughts on Derek Nottie being back?
Yeah, no, the dogs of KC Pet Project are definitely happy that Derek Nottie's back in Kansas City. Because a lot of dogs are about to get adopted now. But no, I once he got cut, I knew he'd probably end up being back in the Chiefs uniform. I didn't expect that to come at the expense of Mike Pennell not being on this team. I thought that would be a duo that they would like to keep here, since Mike Pennell did have a little bit of contribution in helping with that run defense last year. But obviously, like you said, I think it does help Omar Norman Lott not have to put so much pressure on him to be a run stuffing defensive tackle as well either. Kind of puts him now more in that Turk Warden role to kind of come in as that pass rush specialist, which he was at Tennessee. I know a lot of people weren't hyped about the Derek Nottie move, but ultimately these are the kind of guys, these are the kind of glue guys that you need on this team that know the system, that come in, that do their jobs, and go home at the end of the day. They might not have the glorious stats or the accolades or anything like that, but they come in, contribute, and I think Derek Nottie can do that, especially on early downs in our run defense. So hopefully he's ready and fully healthy, ready to play, and I fully expect him to come in and do his job, man.
Yeah, I think he knows the system, and this has kind of been a theme of some of these trades and waiver claims and people making their practice squads this time of year. Is you want people in the building that know the system in the event that something goes terribly wrong in one of your position groups. And Derek Nottie does that. He's not going to get a whole lot of buzz as a nose tackle, but he's there to do one thing, and that's eat up blocks so linebackers can go and make plays.
Yeah.
And when you especially have more undersized guys at the position like Jeffrey Bassa, who has flashed during the preseason, you want guys like that in front of him because then he can go and make the plays that he's been making all preseason in the run game.
Yeah.
So it all works together. I think it'll be fine. I know I think Mike Pennell will be back at some point unless there's other options that present themselves, just because this is exactly what they've done for, I think, the past 2 seasons, where they'll call him up later in the season when they need a fresh body at the position, and he's going to wind up having an impact down the stretch and doing exactly what he needs to do for the team.
I think it also speaks to how confident they feel in Jeffrey Tillery at this point too, what he can provide for them at the defensive tackle position. So obviously, I think that it's a point they might have wanted to go a little bit younger on that in the interior line. I know Mike Pennell is kind of getting up there in age as well, but I do fully expect Pennell to be circulating and be around the kingdom at some point, hopefully for a stretch run here in late, December or January.
Yeah,
I agree. Derek Nottie's just a guy who, to me, was playing very well before he got traded to the Jets. And essentially, he was a very high compliment to why we were able to kind of can never have too many bodies at that spot, especially on the D line, especially when you talk about interior guys who's able to stuff the run. And I think if you go back to that season when he was here, I think outside of like some names, that was probably the best Chiefs defense we've seen in a while. And you can probably go back a while to probably those, Tom Bahali days with Eric Berry and all those guys. I think that 2023 defense with, Snead and Noddy and Jones and, younger Karlaftis and, still getting his feet. I think that was probably one of the best defenses we've had in Kansas City. And no stranger to Derek Nottie as he is to Spag's system, and being able to bring a guy like that back. You don't have to teach a guy the ropes, or you don't have to tell a guy where to fill the gap, or where to stun or where to be at. Derek Nottie's a pro's pro. He's gonna come in and work hard and be a guy that's available. And obviously, DG mentioned he already has work here and he's already beloved here in Kansas City. So it's great to have a guy like that back, a guy that we can just kind of plug in and play. We don't have to kind of teach the ropes to. So I'm excited for Derek Nottie to come back in. And like you said, he kind of reduces that role and that pressure off of Omar Norman Lott, who is injured right now. So getting him back fresh is important, and letting him be able to go after that passer on passing situations and second and longs and third and longs. So I think it works all well with our scheme, and it works better for our personnel as well.
100%. Also, to mention that the Chiefs are going to be bringing in 6 players for visits tomorrow and tentatively plan to sign the practice squad. I know there was news today about CEH being back, but we also got defensive tackle Broderick Martin, Zach Pickens, Ethan Downs, Tyreek Smith, and Jamie Robinson also on the defensive side. So obviously everyone's really hyped about CEH being on the practice squad again.
What happened to the Janaris Robinson kid?
So he got hurt after the first game. He fractured his foot, and so he got put on the season-ending IR.
Yeah.
So, right in the game, he got a sack too. It was really unfortunate.
Yeah, I think he would have made it.
Yeah, he probably would have if he played the last game. If he was able to play the rest of the preseason. So,
that sucks.
But couple of these guys are interesting. Broderick Martin, former 3rd-round pick in 23 by the Lions, hurt most of last year, but was on pace, has made the 53-man, I think, both years prior before he got hurt. So young nose tackle, flashed a few games in preseason last year and this year, and also has lost some weight. Apparently, he's down from the 330 that he was to start last year. So I think that is an interesting signing, upside signing for the DT room. And then Zach Pickens is another pretty early day 2 pick that has shown some flashes, but just couldn't get on the field. So I think the theme here is they're wanting to take some flyers on some young upside guys to fill out more depth in the DT room because they see the same things that some other people have seen. They want to make sure that they've upgraded the depth as much as possible and have guys that can come in if need be. So even if it's only a couple of these guys, I think this is probably another reason why Mike Pennell has not been signed yet. They want to get younger at the position. I think that's the biggest thing is they want to make sure they have as much reinforcement as possible, and younger guys always wind up at some point taking priority over the vets at some point.
For sure. And I think that's about it. Otherwise, we take on the Chargers in 2 weeks, so we have that extra bye to rest up, game plan as we travel to Brazil. Which, how are you guys feeling about the team traveling to Brazil in general for week 1?
I think it's an exciting opportunity for us to obviously, expand our Chiefs kingdom. We do have a lot of international fans, and it's a great product for the NFL to, make sure that they're getting over there for those fans as well. Shout out to all Chiefs kingdom in Brazil, baby. Be loud, be proud. F the Chargers. I can't wait to mud stomp them in the face. I hate the Chargers. I hate the Raiders. I hate the Broncos. All as a collective, it's nothing no more than I hate more than the AFC West. Maybe outside of the Eagles, maybe outside of the Buffalo Bills and the Ravens. I hate all of those guys. I hate everybody that's not the Chiefs, but those like 5, 6 teams in particular, I really hate. So it's a chance for us to kind of calm the store, calm the noise. I've heard all the chatter all season about how our quarterbacks regressed, and you know we should have took someone else in the first round, and um, Xavier Worthy's not this and not that, and we don't have anybody to replace L'Jarius Sneed. I heard people say that, DG. I heard people say it. We don't have anybody to replace L'Jarius Sneed. What are we gonna do without Justin Reed? It's been a lot of chatter about a lot of stuff, but as it's funny because as the football time gets closer, I'm starting to hear less and less echoes. Don't stop. Don't stop the echoes now, baby. Keep it coming. Chargers, we coming, baby. Patrick Mahomes, mad. He's motivated. MVP Pat season loading. MVP Pat, maybe Super Bowl MVP Pat again. The only quarterback to do that since Kurt Warner, but I guess he's regressed somehow without a left tackle last year. But no, I'm really excited about opening up the season against a tough divisional opponent. I know that game is going to go down to the wire. I do expect us to be a lot more explosive on the offensive end. I know we're missing a few guys, but I do think that having that Josh Simmons kid and having the offensive line um, kind of revamped a little bit on that left side, I think we have a chance to really shut it up and go into the season with something to prove again. And it's crazy how a back-to-back Super Bowl champion, 3 out of 5 Super Bowl champion in this what 5, 6 year run have something to prove all of a sudden. But I guess NFL is what have you done for me lately, not what have you done for me in the past. So, with us coming off that Super Bowl loss, a lot of bad taste in people's mouth. A lot of talk about Travis Kelsey being done and being washed and all this and all that. All that stuff is exciting and all, and it's good clickbait. But I really can't wait for these guys to go out in Brazil next Friday and be able to make a statement against a good divisional opponent with Justin Herbert and John and Harbaugh and company. So it's an exciting chance for us to show the world on a bigger stage. I know we're not opening the season, but all eyes will be on us on Friday night because we're the only game that and that on that slate for the NFL. So it's another chance for us to go out and show what we can do, man. Show that championship DNA. So I'm excited for all the guys. I'm excited for all the rookies being held to a high standard. I'm excited for Jaden Hicks a guy that has been passed the torch and being able to be in that secondary and kind of man that back end and being able to show what he can do. So I'm excited. There's so many opportunities for guys. Taquan Thornton now with the Rashee Rice news and Brownlee might get a chance to play. There's just so many opportunities for younger guys to step up and really contribute to this team. So I'm excited for it, man. I know that it'll come down to the wire, but I'm expecting us to go to Brazil, take care of business, and make that a fun trip after the fact.
Yeah, yeah. If you would have told me back when I was watching Tyler Palco and Kyle Orton and Damon Heward, and the
Tyler
Chiefs,
Thigpen.
the Chiefs would be playing in an international game on a Friday. It was for YouTube's first ever NFL game live stream on YouTube for the first time ever. I would have told you were nuts.
Yeah.
But yeah, this franchise has obviously come a long way. Obviously winning has a lot to do with that. So I'm very, very grateful for that. But yeah, you got to be grateful as a fan for these opportunities. I know a lot of people kind of complained about this game not being in LA. It's not like the Chargers have fans anyway.
Right.
But I'm excited for these guys to go out there and be able to showcase, their talents to an international market that football's not really popular down there. Well, at least our brand of football is not popular down there. So yeah, it's exciting times, man. Hopefully the people in Sao Paulo really enjoy the product that they're going to see on the field there. Obviously, they got to see the Eagles and Packers take on each other last year. And, it's exciting that this year we get the opportunity to be able to do that. So, yeah, it's exciting times, man. Like I said, if you would have told me years ago, as long as I've been a fan of this team, that they would be playing in Brazil, I would have said you're absolutely insane.
Yeah, it's definitely a change from back in the day. That's for sure. If you had told me, I thought Trent Green was as good as it was going to get. I thought after that, man, how does it get better than this? Little did I know. Little did any of us know that it was about to get even better. It just took a couple decades to get there, but
Shout out Trent Green, man.
Right.
Shout out Tim Ben, man. Shout out Trent Green, man. He brought some exciting times to Chiefs Kingdom. I'm not gonna lie. And Alex Smith, man.
Yep.
What?
A lot of people paved the way for this, man. There are a lot of legends that unfortunately did not get a chance to make it to the.
I didn't want to bring up the good quarterbacks, guys. I was
bring up the bad ones.
It's a hard time,
Look, I mean,
Matt
that's
Castle,
because there was a long time in between there, DG.
Todd Haley was so horrible, man. Oh my god. Man.
Glad you're not living in those days, right?
No, do not take me back, please.
Brody Kroll, oh my god.
I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy.
Brady Quinn.
We don't talk about Brady Quinn.
I thought.
Did anyone see that
Castle
highlight
was
that
a
Brady Quinn had over the weekend? Didn't
I
he
thought
have
Matt
like a big
Castle
pass
was a
out there?
game changer, dog. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, dang, he back up
Man,
Tom
we really
Brady.
thought Matt Castle was going to save us.
I
Bro.
don't care what y'all say. Y'all know y'all say the same thing, man. He back up the greatest quarterback right now. We about
Guilty.
to have a chance. He came
We
and
really
stumped
thought
it up. Oh my god.
we really thought Matt Castle was going to save us, dog.
Helped us win the division his first year. So yeah, we were all right.
We thought we had finally made it again. Little did we know.
2012, the wheels just came falling off. Dog.
Oh my god.
Disaster.
Jamal Charles deserved better.
I mean, that was the year that so much so that like everyone booed. I mean, everyone cheered when Matt Castle got injured on the field.
Yeah,
Man,
That was how bad that year.
They were cheering for everybody was wanting Brady Quinn. Put Brady in.
little did we know it was about to get even worse.
Only going to get worse.
Oh man.
History's funny.
I think the thing is I know that the Rashawn Slater news was not the best for whoever is a Chargers fan out there.
that sucks, man. I'm not gonna lie.
That's unfortunate. The Chargers' curse of injuries just continues to happen, even when they try not to. And their defense isn't as good, I think, as it was last year. I think they lost a lot of key pieces. So I'm very interested to see how our offense really stacks up. But I think it's going to be great for the NFL. And, as much as people hate 10-minute, Chiefs are ratings. Chiefs draw, and Chiefs have the most primetime games, most by just everything. They
And it's about
control
to get
the
a
media.
whole lot worse for a bunch of people.
And
Because
I know a certain
we're
pop
all
star
here
who
for it.
has her days off all year.
Big Yeti,
A
baby.
certain fiance is coming every game.
Get used to it. Because it's going
You thought you hated
to
it
get
2
worse
years
before
ago.
It gets better.
They
NFL's
said
gonna be like, look at her react.
If Beyonce come to Arrowhead, they gonna hate us, bro.
It's funny. It's funny. My dad actually told me a statistic that they put out. Apparently, and y'all can believe this if you want, but apparently Taylor Swift has already generated like $300 million in revenue for the Kansas City Chiefs since she's been around.
Yes.
So
She didn't up the
you
salary
can
cap
believe that
too.
if you want. That sounds like
I wonder
a low
what her
figure to
royalties
me,
are.
but
Oh, she getting paid for sure.
For sure.
just be prepared for it to get a whole lot worse before it gets better.
Oh man. But yeah, exciting times. Next week we will have our predictions week. Obviously, we'll go over the schedule and make our predictions there. We'll go through every division, we'll go through every award, and I think we're gonna do some future slips for some betting if you guys are interested in making some money this year. But yeah, that's it for tonight, guys. Thank you for tuning in to 142.2 The Kingdom on X, on YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube, follow on X or wherever you see us. And yeah, we'll see you guys next
Follow
week.
me, ladies. I know I'm looking a little rough tonight, but I'm getting a cut tomorrow.
In the shop.
Hey.
End the show. Just end the podcast, please.